space. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it very much. With even one person that I have. Sorry about that. The video paused a while ago, not sure why. So I was saying that I realized that the evenings are getting a bit chilly here, not to mention overseas. So I hope you're all keeping warm and dry. Okay? Alright, so we're getting to the end of our book. Finally getting to the end. Finally getting to the end. Alright, let me first apologize. The last video that I uploaded, I didn't realize that part of it ended abruptly. So I don't know what happened there. So I apologize for that. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna read back from where the video actually stopped. Where the video ended abruptly, I'm gonna just start back from there. So if you're following my channel, you'll follow the story and you'll be following and know how the story is going. Oh my god, I tied up my tongue. Actually having a cupcake. Kiss cupcake. Anyway, I'm not advertising for any company, so just having a cupcake. And I'm also having a cup of chocolate tea. Well, it's not tea, it's actually a beverage. Yeah. So do relax, have a cup of tea, get a cool glass of drink, or whatever you're doing, just relax and enjoy my reading. Alright, so without further ado, I usually introduce my book. So the name of my book is Come Back Old Iron Blue, written by Elkanah Rule, and it's narrated by me, Karen Ware. Alright, so I'm going to start back at Jeggerman. So as I say, if you go on my page, you've been following where I'm reading. Part of that, the last video had just cut off. So I'm going to start back from where Jeggerman. Start back from where it says Jeggerman. No, where you will soon find out that I'm not a chicken-hearted man. I have my pride and reputation to protect in this district. Alright, so we start from here. So we're at chapter 13. Alright, so let's go without further ado. Jeggerman made sure not to return to Old Iron Blue's house. But Seedcap could not go either. From the following morning, Jeggerman was patrolling the road with his newly filed machete, and he made clear his intention. Seedcap, though he was much stronger than Jeggerman, became so fearful that he could hardly leave his house. He could not seek police protection as the nearest police station was 5 miles away. Not even a district constable resided in Rabbit Wall. Saturday afternoon came. Seedcap managed to leave his home and reach Pappy Mac's bar. He was visibly perturbed. He told Pappy Mac of his predicament. If Jeggerman managed to salvage some pride, he may forget the whole matter. I am going to let you hide in my shop. I know he will come with his machete if I send to call him. But I will find some way to borrow it from him. Then I will boost up his ego, telling him that you are behind the door hiding, and he should grab you and throw you back in the mud. Fortunately, we have some mud here from the rain earlier in the day, Pappy Mac advised. He got the message and came rather quickly. His machete was borrowed and hidden from him as arranged. When he heard that Seedcap was behind the door, he tried to reach for his machete, but it was not there. "Shame on you, Jaggy man," cried Mr. Mack. "Would a strong man as you use a machete to chop another man? Look at your muscles. They are so well developed. Me and you are some distant relatives, and I don't want you to chop anyone and go to prison. That will be a bad reflection on the family. Grab the little weakling and throw him back in the mud. Make use of your strength. Can you imagine the rating you would get if you do that? If you chop a man in this district, everyone will hate you. But if you beat him with, oh my goodness, but if you beat him with your strength alone, they will rate you well." What an advice, people. By then, a sizable group of spectators had gathered. You know, some people say Jamaica, trust me, is a unique and special place. You ever realize when we have an accident or somebody fighting or something happen, don't care how quiet the place is, you just see people appear from nowhere. Spectators. It's amazing. I'm always amused. By then, a sizable group of spectators had gathered. They all seemed to know of the plan and were urging him along. He worked himself into quite a degree of rage, pulled the door back and grabbed Seedcap, who was giving only token resistance. He pulled him outside and pitched him over into the mud. Yes, I get my revenge now. It is just because I was not feeling well the other day. Why you got the upper hand? Anywhere you see me, you will respect me as of today," he boasted as he consoled himself. "I don't make trouble, but anyone who tries to make trouble with me always pays dearly for it. Let this be a lesson to every jack man in Rabbit Wall." The spectators praised him as they enthusiastically raised his ego. He was certainly never seen at Old Iron Blue's home again. Not because of Old Iron Blue, but to keep out of Seedcap's way. He decided to pay no more visits. Ever since Old Iron Blue got that meal of delicious oxtail at Mrs. Chambers' home, he had always been thinking how he might get himself a regular supply of oxtail. The ram that Miss Dorcas took with her had grown into a very lovely creature, and he was also thinking of making a meal of it. "But it should not be difficult for me to get as much oxtail as I want. Oxtail is cowtail. And look how many cows are in the neighboring district of Monkey Hut." Boy, I must say this author has some strange names, brother. "Look how many cows are in the neighboring district of Monkey Hut. All I have to do is to go there every night and chop off a cow's tail." This man is crazy. "Then I can get that to cook the following day," reasoned Old Iron Blue, looking very happy and pleased with himself. Old Iron Blue implemented his plan, and the people of Monkey Hut district were faced with a serious problem. Every morning a farmer was crying and complaining that someone had chopped off his cow's tail during the night. Old Iron Blue was always there to sympathize with the farmers and advise what measures to take. He even volunteered his service to help them watch. Just like some people, when they steal your money, them turn around helping you look for it. However, he never stayed all night, and while they were at one section, he would go to another. The matter was reported to the police, but they could find no lead. If Robert were not in prison, he would be an automatic suspect. And if I say, if you've been following my story, remember, if you've been following my story, you remember about Robert. So they say if he wasn't in prison, he would have automatically been a suspect. Oh my God. Sometimes some people get blamed for nothing, for things they haven't done. Let's sweet my mouth a little. It's a cupcake. Normally, I would have the cupcake on a plate and have my cake fork eating it. But not today. My fingers are the fork. Now, a lot of people will be baking soon. We're in the holiday season. A lot of people will be baking and stuff. Actually quite nice. Delicious. Nice. Let's continue. They were advised to get in touch with the district constable, Pinkins, to help them solve the mystery. He asked if they had any suspect. They all said no. When he questioned them on the reason they believed that the cow's tails were cut off, they all replied, "Obia then gone to work with it, Obia." And it never dawned on you that some food maniac may have developed addiction to oxtail? Questioned Pinkins. I will not work on the premise that the cow's tails are used for any purpose than for making meals. With the advice of Pinkins, the people began to focus their attention elsewhere. It was strongly rumored that old Iron Blue was the person cutting off the cow's tails. Miss Joplin asked him directly if it were a fact that he was the one chopping off the cow's tails. He strongly denied it. Some people went to Miss Dorcas and asked her about the cow's tails that old Iron Blue was bringing home. She said that they were telling lies on old Iron Blue, as he had never brought home a single cow's tail. As more and more people began to ask her, she became very annoyed. She really never saw him with any, and he has always denied any such misdeed. If anyone comes here and asks me about any cow's tail, I'm going to give him a proper tracing, she declared. I'm going to trace that person until the black turns dark, until the place turns dark. I am going to trace that person until his clothes drop off. Now hear that? I'm going to trace that person until rain falls. I'm going to trace that person until lightning and thunder blast. And she did carry out her threat to trace whoever came. As they asked, she replied, "We do not have any dead meat here. Jankro, go away from the gate." This was followed by a volume of unpalatable descriptions. Sometimes she became engaged in a verbal encounter with someone for 2 hours or more. This scene usually attracted many spectators. The winner of the tracing match was the one who was able to say the most degrading things about the other. These tracing matches were a way of life in nearly every rural community, and that is so true. The champion tracer was usually a big, strong Higla woman. She was usually well respected in her community because no one dared to challenge her. Because no one dared to challenge her either. verbally or physically. No little weakling could be a tracer because she would be boxed down as she spoke an irritating word to anyone. My God. In these communities, there was also the champion bad word cursor. In Rabbit Wall, no one could out-curse Dirty Ears. He could curse and swear and issue threats for a whole day. Many people still remember the Sunday morning that Jaggerman and Dirty Ears caught quarrel in the village square near the Anglican church. They began to quarrel long before the morning service should begin. They both had with them sharp machetes, with which they were swearing to chop each other to pieces. The worshippers came and took their seats in the church nearby, but Dirty Ears in particular, and Jaggerman to a less extent, were cursing so much bad words that they could not start any singing. Can you imagine? While they waited until the parson came to start the service. The two seemed to be getting more and more infuriated as they cursed each other. So angry were they that it seemed their anger would blow them to pieces any minute. "If you take one step nearer to me, I chop you to pieces," warned Dirty Ears, lifting his machete and chopping a branch from the cockspur tree that stood on the edge of the road. Oh, this is getting cold, my chocolate. Actually warm now. Totally forgot about it. If you think the pants you are wearing belongs to you, if you think the pants you're wearing belongs to you, make even a small step to my direction, countered Jaggerman, lifting his cap from his head and hurling it to the ground. "As I throw my cap on the ground, so I will lay you flat." In anger, he jumped in the air, chopping at the breeze. He cursed two more bad words, then spun around. He stepped to a banana tree and chopped through it cleanly with a single strike of his machete to intimidate his adversary. A few people tried to persuade them to end their quarrel, but they threatened to harm these people if they came too near. Some of the people came from the church and stood on the landing above the road. They tried to calm them, but they paid no attention. Embroiled in rage, the two men started racing towards each other with their machetes raising above their heads. The women who were among the onlookers cried out and hid their faces, but the men suddenly stopped with a jolt, some 6 meters away from contact, and again warned each other that if he came nearer, rapid and instant death would follow. They then retreated a few meters. The parson rode up to the church gate and brought his horse to a stop. He spoke to the men, requesting them to desist. "Yes, parson, I have plenty respect for you," agreed Jaggerman. As soon as he began to walk away, Dirty Ears started issuing insults, calling him a coward, a chicken, and he was spineless, running away like a little boy. Jaggerman retraced his steps and began a new round of cursing. A light drizzle started and everyone ran away to take shelter. But the two men stayed there. Even when the downpour began, their voices could still be heard. The rain fell for more than 2 hours. No one knew what eventually transpired, but they were not there after the rain ceased. The weeks came and went by, and there was no further news pertaining to the chopping off of Cow's tail. Old Iron Blue became aware of the fact that they were watching him and desisted. But he was now dreaming of that lovely ram goat that Miss Dorcas brought with her. She placed it under his care, but he badly wanted to make a meal of it. Somehow he could not convince himself that it was right for him to cook the ram and eat it all by himself. After all, Dorcas was his woman, and that was the only thing of value she possessed. He did not want her to be left empty-handed. But the ram was enticing. So every day look at the ram, he must see the run water. But the ram was enticing. His thoughts were becoming more centered on eating the goat. It became an irresistible and passionate desire for him to eat the goat. As he was coming from the field one evening with his thoughts centered on the ram, he came upon Miss Dora standing at her gate. "You are the person I stand here waiting on," she told him. "It is unusual and funny that you are here waiting on me. What is your reason?" he inquired with wrinkled forehead and an inquiring face. "6 of my relatives from town were to visit me since morning, but they did not turn up, and it is now evening. I cooked for them, plenty food. I do not want all this food to go to waste. I know that you have a good appetite, so I'm inviting you to have a good meal." She exhorted in a most pleasant tone. "Many people do not know the type of man I am," he replied in a cold, calculated tone. "Let me tell you plainly, I am a particular, irascible person. I don't yam from every and anybody. Not even Bulrush want your food. I will not even allow my dog to eat any. He is a peculiar dog, very sensible. Anybody I don't yam from, he doesn't yam from. Not every and anybody either. If you offer him any, he will simply cut his eyes and leave it same place." Miss Dora looked surprisingly at him with embarrassment covered all over her. Before she could regain her composure, he callously walked away without saying another word. His dog followed behind. Alright, so I'm going to pause right here. I'm going to end this video here, and then I'm going to do another video following this. So let us pause here and then do another video following this.